Well, here we are. It's Saturday, the 10th of February 2024. Well, I haven't made a video like this for what it seems to be a lifetime, but I think the last time I made a video about keeping things together was during the confinement period of 2020. I'm still in Mauritius, and I'm still here working on the project that I came to start, and I wanted to give you maybe some clarity and some thoughts and an overview on all of these crazy energies and things that are happening around us and within us, as well as in our own outside world. And I haven't escaped any of that, believe me. And the last 2 months has been another journey of very reminiscent of 2014 and very reminiscent of 2007 and 2008. And this indicates a pattern that is linked to a cycle. And what cycle is that, one may ask? And this is a question that I've been asking, and I think there's many things that are going on that we need to put into perspective, especially if we are struggling with life today, or lots of things are happening and we're feeling confused or overwhelmed, or we have no way to share or express what's going on, either in here in our head or inside in our hearts or outside in our lives. And I can only take my own situation and similar situations that are in people that I'm connected to's lives. So it's not just me, and I know that it's not just a few other people. And when I listen to some of my astrologer guides, it seems to be happening on a quite large scale around the world. So what does this tell us? That there's a cycle, there's a pattern, there's something happening that we are not in control of, that is influencing the events on planet Earth. This can put down to Mother Nature, and Mother Nature's way of telling those that are awake that you thought you were awake, and to wake the fuck up properly. And for those that thought that they knew everything, we know nothing. And even after all the work that I went through with trauma, with psychological assessment, psychoanalysis, meditation, and all those things and techniques that I discovered and practiced between 2014 and 2018, these are just tools. And these tools I'm having to reintroduce into my life because of circumstance and because of situations. And back in 2014 and 2007-8, as now, my whole life fell apart in a very short space of time, in a compressed window of time over a period of maybe 4 or 5 weeks. And there's a series of events, sequence of events that impacted every aspect of my life, from my professional life, from my personal life, to my mind, to my heart, to my soul. It touched every aspect of my life, to the state where in the latter part of December I was very sick for 4 days after completing the year's work and completing the final task. My body went into shutdown mode, my mind went into search mode and discovery mode, and my heart went into we need to know more. And during those 4 days I went to a very, 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 very dark place that I've never been to before. And I thought, and I think this is the thinking, the thought of we've done all the work, that we've done the work on self. But what's manifesting now is, are you sure? And what I can tell you is, we can never be finished or done with the past, but we can put it to sleep, and we can identify a new way of moving forward that sends the past and keeps it in the past. And what I'm learning now is that we don't know everything, that circumstance can change in the flash of a second, unexpectedly, and no matter you believe or anticipate many problems occurring, then the one that you least expect occurs. It happens, and shit happens. And when you have accumulation of events that trigger all aspects of your mind, body and soul, and social standing, social status, and all of these things, it's an attack on self, it's an attack on your true being. And that's what it feels like. Who am I? Do I believe? And do I have faith in who I am? Do I trust in what I'm doing? Do I trust in the signs and synchronicities that are sprinkled all through the daily activities of life? Do I still believe? Do I still trust in the sole driving force that is determining the situations that are unfolding? And therefore, do I trust myself? Do I know who I am? And over the past week, I've learned to get to know that the work that I did in 2014-15 actually worked. And somebody that met me 10 years ago and helped guide me told me, you learned, and it's so amazing to see. Now we will work on another aspect of your life, which is learning how to better deal in relationships, no matter who with, in business, in friendship, in personal relationships. How best to utilize the new knowledge that I have into creating and building new friendships, new relationships with people throughout my life. And this is also coming into my life through various situations where I have taken an assertive action to take control of the situation, or to cut the chains of a situation, creating freedom so that I can navigate an alternative path that will reach the same goal. You know, it's like a meandering. Nothing is in a straight line. We're meandering a path like a river. This is flow. And nothing will ever be in straight lines. Nothing will ever be in a direct way. We always have to navigate. And the biggest test for anybody is, do we have the imagination? Do we have the mind? Do we have the wisdom? Do we have the experience? Or do we know those people within our lives that can really help us and really assist us in moving forward in new directions, in a completely new, refreshed sort of rebirth? And that's when I describe my 4 days much like Dark Night of the Soul. I went to the deepest, darkest parts of myself, and I do believe I went past all of the previous trauma, and I do believe I went into the trauma that I don't have a conscious memory of. It's sitting right at the back of my subconsciousness, which deals with the trauma of our childhood. I touched on childhood trauma in my book, and these are personal experiences of mine, but I never had the very young childhood knowledge of what happened to me. How did I get this injury when I was 18 months old? How did I get this injury when I was 3 years old? Because these images, this memory is not in my conscious mind. But what it felt like during those 4 days is that I actually went past all of that trauma, all of that pain, and I could even say that I went back to this pre-birth state of consciousness, the natal, the primal consciousness that each of us has, that each of us is created from. And on top of all of these things, when I map the astrology, not only my personal astrology but also the collective astrology, there are some serious things that are going on in order to prepare us, to elevate us, to take us on the journey of our dreams, of our desires, of our wishes, of really why we're here. It's there. We've already created it. And in whatever shape or form that we've created it, something came along and somehow either destroyed it, removed part of it, or created a set of challenges that force us to really test who we are. Apart from all this shit that's going on, do we still believe? Apart from all this negativity that's around our lives, do we still believe in what we're doing? And no matter how low we go, do we still believe in who we are, even though we may not know who we are anymore? And I do believe that there's a lot of rebirthing of new versions of ourselves around the universe, which is an essential part of us being prepared, or us being able to move forward into what are going to be elevated positions, not only in our communities but also in society. I know this because of the work that I'm doing in Mauritius with hydropower, and all of the challenges of the state. Every single way and path I've gone, even though this project is falling under a government scheme, there's been no help. There's been no assistance, there's just been barrier after barrier after barrier after barrier after barrier. For 2 years we've been battling one of the largest companies, corporate companies in Mauritius. And they've filed court cases one after the other against me and my company. We successfully beat them on the first case, which took 17 months. The judge overturned their original injunction. So we won the first phase, but we still have 2 more legal battles to face, despite winning, and they're all contingent on the first one. And despite winning that first one, the system and the protracted way in which the legal system or the justice system functions make sure that you are left in a loop that just basically keeps you being drained, or keeps you being focused on, or requires money to keep it going, because the system is rigged. The system is rigged to feed those which it supports. So all of these things are a test. All of these things are, do we believe in the truth? Do we believe in the love? Do we believe in what we've created and what it stands for? In the beginning of January, in Mauritius, my investors came, Tomislav Tesla came, to see the construction and to see the developments that I had built in Mauritius over the last 4 years. Within 4 days of them arriving, I think the largest cyclone in the history of Mauritius hit Mauritius and brought rainfall that Mauritius has never seen before in its modern day records. This in turn created massive water flows in the rivers. And I think it was the 13th or 14th of January when I went back to our building site and saw just a concrete structure remaining. Everything that we had inside a shipping container, our energy generation systems, our electronics, over $100,000 worth of equipment and machinery required for us to generate electricity, was gone. The turbine that was sitting inside its housing was moved by the force of the water downstream by 15 meters, and this thing weighs 10 tons. So the force of the water, the pressures of the water simply submerged the whole project site. The water flowed just slightly under the bridge, so 3 meters of water, like a tsunami, hit our shipping container and took it 2 kilometers downstream. It took us a couple of days to find it because it's stuck, wedged, overturned and destroyed, camouflaged by a big tree, and there's nothing inside. Absolutely nothing. We know that somewhere within the river our generators and our tools will be sitting and rusting, and until the rivers drop, we're not going to be able to find it. So this all happened in the presence of the people that have funded the project to date, as well as the innovator. And a month later, after a lot of reflection and renewed investment and renewed commitment and reinvigorated ideas and a new way of doing what we've done, knowing what we've seen and creating something new out of what we have left, it's a salvage. And fortunately, after lots of persuasion and lots of debate and discussion, I was able to convince our investors to keep supporting us and to allow us to at least to start what we finished. Many other things have happened in my life, and I don't want to go into these things because they're not important, but people are leaving people's lives for their reasons, and people are making decisions because they're afraid. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid that what they've got will be broken or destroyed. They're afraid of dealing with their inner demons. They're afraid of facing the truth of who they are and being accepted in the outside world as who they are, for what they are. And this will be happening more and more and more as the astrology and the time moves forward, because we are now truly entering a new era. We've just completed a 20-year cycle of Pluto in Capricorn, and now we are Pluto Aquarius, and this happened on the 20th of January. Something else happened around that time in my life that symbolizes that astrological transit, along with other things that are in my personal chart. So it was a mixture of the global astrology as well as my personal astrology, as well as my personal circumstance, which were described by both sets of astrology. And somewhere something happened that we never thought would happen, but it did. And on top of all of these things in the business, on top of all these things in my personal life, I've had to really analyze, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What did I come here for? And I realized I came here to create a hydropower plant and to set forth on a journey, an adventure to transforming Africa and the rest of the world with innovative new technology that can drastically improve and support them, as well as giving them a new level of wealth and lifestyle. This vision is still here. It's had to take a new shape because nothing can be in form. It has to be dynamic. So no matter the business plan that was written or the business vision that's written, certain elements of that business vision have changed because either people have gone or people have decided that they don't want to do that role, etc., etc. So I've needed to adapt and incorporate the most important elements into the future, and setting that future on firm foundations. And when I look back at the things that I've done in the last 2 weeks with myself, I've gone back into looking at myself because of circumstance, because of the situation that I'm in, not to seek answers, but to seek confirmation or affirmation and more understanding into situations, into life choices, and into solutions that will help me, that will be invaluable to me on this journey going ahead. And I know that I'm also, I believe I have the skill set to be able to reach the level of humanity that I am needing and going to need to have discussions with. So we're talking leaders of the world, senior politicians, senior entrepreneurs, people that have influence, because I have something that can influence humanity, and I have something that can transform humanity in my hands. And it's about working together. How can we work together to achieve an amazing outcome? What can we do together? Not as individuals. I know what I can do. I can't do what I need to do by myself. It's impossible. That's why I built a team. That's why I put people into my life, brought people into my life that have that similar vision, similar drive, similar passion, and have stood by me for the last 4 years, for the last 12 years, or for the last 30 years. And I have people in my life from 30 years ago that came to Mauritius. He's 80 years old this year. He's not my grandfather. It's a trusted friend and somebody that stood by me 25 years ago, sorry. And is still standing by me today because he believes in what I'm doing. He believes in the vision that has been created, and he certainly sees the way Dean Me has transformed his whole approach to doing business, his whole approach to doing his life, and more importantly, his approach to contributing to society and sharing that knowledge. And this is why I made these videos all those years ago, is to share information, to give insight, and to give maybe inspiration that we're all going through some shit. The collective is going through some serious shit. And if we look at the outside world, we can see clearly the way that it's going. We can put this into some sort of perspective. We're seeing the hegemony, we're seeing the world dominating players lose their power, lose their control, lose their influence, because those on the other side of the world no longer believe in what they say, are no longer convinced by money, are no longer convinced by X, Y, Z that this is a way to go forward. And this is all Age of Aquarius. This is Aquarius energy, Aquarian energy. More community, more me and you, more us, not you and me, not you and them. And I think this is, we can call this Viva Vendetta moment, we can call this a Matrix moment, because it's all very, very strange. But it's happening. And I know it's happening. I don't know what is happening in your part of the world. I don't know what's happening in your personal life. But I can be sure that you do know somebody that's going through some of the things that I've described. And I'm sure that you do know that there's your place where you live is going through these things that are happening around the world. There's no right and wrong in that scenario. But we only have to look at history to show an example. The Roman Empire collapsing, other powers rising, shift in balance, a shift in wealth, a shift in all of these things. Imagine you see the African continent. There's 1.2 billion people in the African continent, of which 2/3 don't have access to electricity. Imagine the entire population having access to electricity. How that shifts consciousness. How that shifts the balance of wealth. You're taking people out of poverty. You're giving people new skills. You're giving people a new life. And you're giving them light. And you're giving them inspiration. And you're giving them tools that will serve them and their future generations to ensure that the African continent continues to grow and prosper, because they would have learned the lessons of the West, of the colonizers, of all of those scars that they've gone through. Mauritius, although they call it Paradise Island, is actually Blood Island. It was at the center of slave trade from the 1500s. So Mauritius has never been a good place before man, except before man arrived. Man has bastardized this country. Man has shaped this country. It's treated it with disrespect. It's abused its people. It's abused its natural resources. And it continues to do so today. But more and more people are awake and are wise. And more people are finding solutions or looking for solutions where they can empower themselves, where they can break their chains from the system, where they can break the chains from toxic relationships, where they can break their chains from any situation that they're in, because they know that there's a brighter future by doing that. We look at slavery, and I was born in the former capital of slavery in the United Kingdom. I'm not proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of who I am and what I've become. I'm not come to Mauritius to uncover slavery and to heal it, but what I'm doing is that. I'm going deep and into the past of Mauritius to understand its culture, to understand its diversity, to understand its beauty, and to be an inspiration for those that have suffered extremely and still suffer for the last 150 years in Mauritius. The disparity is growing and growing and growing and growing. And somehow I would like to see it become closer and closer and closer. But the only way we can do that is by acknowledging what's happened, accepting responsibility for what's happened, and finding ways in which to live with that and use that energy and turn that into something positive and create. Out of slavery came many, many beautiful things. The Creole language, Sega dancing, beautiful food, beautiful people, tenacity, strength, courage, no fear. But if we look at those society today, those that broke free from slavery are now trapped in slavery again, whether that's internally through their own choices and their own gremlins and their own toxicity and their own history or their own trauma that they haven't dealt with or purified or acknowledged, or any other aspect. Some are trapped in this prison of lack of confidence, uncertainty, fear. And the system just keeps putting that fear on top. So people living in fear are further subjected to external fear. And this makes people go crazy. This causes anxiety. This causes being overwhelmed. And this causes many, many, many other mental health issues. Health issues in general. We're still in poverty. So those that were freed from slavery are still living in poverty. This is not evolution. This is modern day slavery. And I'm fortunate that I have broken those chains of the past. I've revisited them recently to confirm that those chains are broken. And yes, they are. But the lesson from today is what you have today. If it started with a vision, how do you adapt and recreate what you believe is the best for you out of what you have in your hands, in your life, in your mind, in your heart, in your body, and in your soul? It's restructuring, rebuilding, reinvigorating, re-exploring, reinventing, letting go of all of the past, because the past no longer serves us. We're here. We're here and now. We're living in the here and now. But without a vision for the future, we are stuck in the here and now. Without a picture of how your future looks, you're stuck in the here and now. Without an inkling or a sense of what you want to do tomorrow or next week, you're stuck in the here and now. And one of the things I did learn from many spiritual and holistic practices, being spiritual is one aspect of life. Spirituality is one aspect of life. But what do we do with that spirituality? Do we just sit and talk spiritual, talk to each other? We say, yeah man, live in the moment, let go, and all this other stuff. Where is the action? Where is the going to the fifth dimension and seeing the clarity and seeing those new possibilities, and then coming back into the third dimension and putting that into play and taking action? Reaching out to people and saying, let's do this. I want to do this. Can we do this together? And sharing those ideas and those inspirational thoughts with others. Alternatively, you can go up to the fifth dimension in your meditation and come down into the fourth dimension and sit there and do nothing and say that you're spiritual. Yes, you are spiritual. You have spiritual knowledge and wisdom. But ultimately, that spiritual knowledge and wisdom needs to come into this reality and transform not only your reality, but also transform our reality. And that our reality affects and impacts the collective consciousness around us, immediately around us. The energy of our heart has a massive footprint. Our energy has a massive radius that exceeds beyond our homes. It's far-reaching and it's never-ending. So, 33 minutes, wow. Was that a lecture? It was a channeling, I believe. But ultimately, no matter how much my life has changed inside, outside, upside down, inside, out, am I here? No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Here I am. All of those things that have happened in the last 2 months, I have been, and I say this humbly, in December I was at one of the lowest points of my life, and in January I was also at another moment, lowest moment of my life. But somehow I kept it together, just like I did in 2014. Back then my daughter Jessie D was the inspiration. She was the one that gave me the hope and the inspiration to continue, to explore and to discover. Today I have my youngest son and my eldest son, and my eldest daughter and my youngest daughter as inspiration. I'm not doing what I'm doing for them. I'm doing what I'm doing for me. Because I know if I do it for me, they will benefit indirectly. And they will benefit from seeing what their dad is doing, how he's being, and how he's achieving what he's achieving. And they're learning from that, and they will learn from that. And this will serve them in their future. This will serve their life going forward. And I'm a proud father I can say this, my children are amazing, beautiful creatures that have broken free. They're all living independent lives. They're all living in their own worlds, and they're all achieving their own milestones. And this is, I don't speak to my children every day. I don't see my children every day, but I feel my children every day in my heart and in my soul. So going forward, there is lots of chaos to come. There is lots of things that will happen that you would not believe would happen, but they will happen because they are meant to happen. Society is going through this major transformation, and we don't want to call it apocalyptic times. We have to look at history for snippets of information to give us comparative data as to what the world is going through. Astrology paints that picture because astrology gives us patterns and cycles, and with those cycles and patterns we can look at the history and see the types of events, and this just validates what's happening now in Europe happened in 1939. We have the similar astrology, Uranus and Taurus. We're now in the World War II years of the same astrology. We are in 2024. We are at the same astrology as World War II with certain planets. So we have all of those snippets, those things that were created from World War II, like Israel, Palestine. They're focal points now. What's going to happen there? The truth. Nobody can hide the truth anymore. No matter what we do to suppress it, it is going to come out. And if we don't let it out, it will force it out, because these are natural laws. And this is something man cannot control. As much as man believes that he can control everything, we cannot control nature. We cannot control the patterns and the cycles that nature goes through. And she will show us. She will show us the truth. She will show us the way. And one of the beautiful things out of all of this destruction that happened in my life after a cyclone, the fact that the river was so powerful revealed the hidden secrets that we believed were there, and show categorically that what our observations were and our professional advisors said is being revealed as fact. There's no more, it could be, it can be, it may be. It's fact. It's a reality. Even though I'm still fighting the fight that I need to fight in the legal system, nature has shown me the truth. And that is all I need. Because there is no disputing what nature shows. And as long as I have it captured in an image, I can show that truth to somebody for them to believe also. Keep going forward, keep moving forward. Shine a light on all those pains and internal conflicts that you have, and let the love shine through. Remember those good times, remember those memories, remember those things that kept you together in your profession, in your relationships, in your visions, and everything that you had going forward. And look at the last year and see how those things have changed. Nature is telling you to look at something within you. Nature is telling you to look at something that's in your life and asking you to address it. If you believe that what you created is true, valid, and of significant importance to your future, then follow your heart. Don't follow your mind. Your mind is the thing that is going to continually convince you not to do anything. Your mind is what's still processing or living from this unconscious mind of programs that haven't been dealt with properly or overwritten as defunct. But if you know that you have some skeletons in your cupboard that you haven't touched or are afraid to touch them. Share them with somebody, and you might find solutions. Or you might find, just by speaking to somebody, that you've let go of what was holding you back in the first place. Now is not a time for fear. Now is not a time for running away. Now is a time for confronting, taking action, and moving forward with the help of your friends and your family, with the knowledge and wisdom between you and your friends and family and colleagues, and also knowing that you're supported by, we say, the heavens, by the stars, by the planets. It's time to go and move forward. There's a very small window of opportunity for those that are going through dark places right now, because at the end of May we enter a new dimension again when Jupiter moves out of Taurus into Gemini. So are we all going to be ready for that shift again? I wish you well. Take care. Sending you love and light. Have a great day.